Okay, we've just been skydiving. We've had 2 jumps this afternoon. My new friend, Dan Fortin.
That's it.
Is that good pronunciation?
That is perfect.
Dan, we're in your hangar.
Yes, we are.
Quite an amazing place. Just tell us quickly what we've got in here. We've got an L29.
We've got an L29 behind us. We have a Cessna 421, a Beech Baron, and an Enstrom helicopter.
So you're a skydiver?
I am a skydiver.
You're a pilot?
I am a pilot.
But there's a lot more to piloting than just that. We've just been jumping together, but
yes.
You actually fly the jump aircraft.
Yes, I do.
At Parachute Montreal.
Correct, Parachute Montreal. I fly the Twin Otter at Parachute Montreal here in the greater Montreal area.
Where is that?
That away for about 10 minutes.
All right. You're also a commercial pilot?
Yes, actually a corporate pilot would be more accurate. I fly Global Express and Challenger 604 for a living.
That's what my boss flies.
That's what your bus flies?
I think it is, yeah.
Oh, nice. Nice airplane.
Yeah, very nice airplane. And you're an aerobatic pilot.
I am an aerobatic display pilot, yes. I've been flying air shows since, I want to say 2006.
In this?
I have, yes, this one, but my main air show airplane is a Chinese Nanchang that is parked a little further down the way.
We're going to go and see that after?
We're going to go see that away.
All right, so you started air shows when, 96?
2006 was my first air show, yes.
So talk me through your piloting, Dan. Let's go all the way back. We're about the same age. We've worked that out today. When did it all begin for you?
Oh my God, I began flying gliders when I was 16 years old in 1984.
That was before skydiving?
No, actually, I started I skydived first, and then in the winter, and then in the summer I went and did my glider pilot's license.
Where was
1984.
That? Where?
Oh, Victoriaville. I did the skydiving in Victoriaville, and the glider pilots was with the Air Cadets, which is a great program for youths here in Canada.
Yeah.
And that was in Chicoutimi, and near the military base at Bagotville.
That's where my girlfriend's mother lives.
Oh, there you go.
It's all coming together. So gliding,
yeah.
you were 16.
Yes.
Talk me through what happened.
My first word was airplane, so I've always had a passion for aviation. And joined the Air Cadets, worked hard, got a sponsorship to go get my glider's pilot's license. The following year, got a sponsorship to get my commercial pilot license. My private pilot license. And then flew gliders for a little while with the Air Cadets. We used to do rides. We flew all the other cadets in the rides program. When I was 18, I joined the Royal Canadian Air Force. My objective was to fly F-18 Hornets and fly for the snowbirds. I mean, in Canada, if you're a pilot, you dream about these things, and maybe 20 minutes you dream about, playing hockey for the NHL, but it only lasts 20 minutes. So I had a very short-lived military career. I was in the Air Force for just under 3 years. Was not successful as a military pilot, so I continued in the civilian life. With my commercial pilot license, my instructor's rating, my multi-IFR rating, and that was back in 1991.
Yeah.
And then I've been working ever since. And the 1990s were not easy in aviation in North America, more specifically in Canada. But towards the end of the 1990s, I started getting good jobs, and I started becoming a corporate pilot on Challengers in 2001. So I'm celebrating 20 years this year with the same company, and I'm a happy pilot.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
In the aerobatics, how did you get involved in that?
Well, it was always a dream. I went to my first air show, I was 6 months old. So it was always a dream. My dad used to take me to air shows, and he could barely keep up with me. And so I've been to many air shows, and I saw the snowbirds many times over. So it's always been a dream of mine. So when I got out of the Air Force, for a while I thought that this dream had disappeared. It would remain a dream. Many years later, I met this gentleman, and him and I became friends. And he's a businessman, and we kind of formed a partnership where we manage a fleet of airplanes, and where one has abilities, the other one has other advantages. Yeah. So we started doing this. Michel purchased the Nanchang, the Chinese airplane, in 1996. Believe it or not, 25 years ago today was my first flight in this airplane.
Really?
Yeah. And I fell in love instantly with that airplane, and I've been flying it ever since. I've racked up about, I want to say 1,300 hours in that airplane in the last 25 years.
Wow.
So, and air show came natural. I started polishing my skills as an aviator, as an aerobatic pilot, as a formation pilot, and I got involved with formation flying. with friends in the United States, and then it just grew from that. And as I built my tolerance, as I built my abilities, then eventually I was able to get the qualifications to become an airshow pilot.
And so just walk me around the hangars.
Okay, well, the first one we have here is our L-29, built in Czechoslovakia in 1968. This one is slightly different than the usual Delphin that you see around, in the sense that it's an L-29R. It was made for photo reconnaissance, and technically not a Delphin, but more an Oko, which means eye in Slovakian, I believe. So that's our jet. And then we also have the Baron here on the other side. Nice little sports car. And there's a 421, Cessna 421, and an Emstrom helicopter in the back of the hangar there. So the L-29 Oko, in this case, or Delphin, was built primarily as a military trainer for the Czechoslovakian and the Russian Air Force. I believe there is somewhere around 3,500 L-29 that were made, and this one, as I said before, is the reconnaissance variant, which is probably closer to about 300 L-29Rs that were made. So normally the pilot would sit in the front seat, the photo slash navigator guy would sit in the back seat, and they had ejection seats, which are no longer functional because it's impossible for us to maintain them properly, so we don't have the ejection seats anymore, but they are still very, very nice airplanes. It's actually very easy to fly. It has flight, it's a trainer. It has flight characteristics that resembles any training aircraft that you've flown in your life, whether it's a Cessna or a Cherokee or anything. It's very forgiving, and it's a very easy airplane to fly, even though it's a jet. It's got a nice thick wing, thick solid wing. It's built like a tank, and it allows the airplane to perform great on short runways, in and out, takeoff and landing very easily. This airplane, you can cross the threshold at about 80 to 85 knots on landing, which is not much faster than your typical Cessna 182. So it makes for a great low field performance airplane. The only drawback is it's kind of hungry on gas. So you have to budget a little money to pay for the gas. Everything else is awesome about this airplane. On the 29, normally there would be some fuel tanks installed somewhere around here on the airplane. The L-29R had the fuel tanks permanently installed at the tip. Personally, I prefer the tips. I think it gives it a meaner look. I like the tip tanks on the airplane. Everything else on the airplane is 90% similar to the L-29C, which is the Delphin, the most frequent version of the L-29. Towards the back, watch the helicopter here. Towards the back of the airplane, this is where your engine sits. So basically your engine starts here and it ends just about here, and this is just the exhaust. And towards the back you have your speed brakes here. And the funny thing that we do is when we maintain the airplane, we actually split the airplane in half in order to take a look at the engine. So you have attachment points here. There's 8 attachment points around the fuselage. So you put the airplane on jack, you have a jack that holds the tail, and you literally split the airplane in half, so you can literally have the tail besides the nose of the airplane, which is quite humorous the first time you see it. Other than that, it's like I said, it's a pretty rugged airplane. It's built like a tank. Very simple flight control, push rods everywhere. Same thing for the T-tail. I'm tall enough that I can reach it. Most people can't. And but it's very sensitive. Requires very little flight control movement in order to perform aerobatics. It's not the most powerful jet airplane out there. You can find more powerful airplanes, but the beauty of it is when it gets going, it really accumulates energy, and it's really easy to manage energy when you do aerobatics with the airplane, whether it be for fun or whether you're doing an air show. This airplane accumulates energy, and it's awesome. It's a very nice airplane.
All right, the pits.
The pits, the super pits, time flies we call it. It's the largest of the Pitts Model 12. It's my wingman's, Mario's newest acquisition. We used to fly the air show with Mai Chang and his yak, and after a few years he is now selling the yak, and he bought this Pitts Model 12. We haven't had the opportunity to fly an air show with the two airplanes just yet because of, well, you know, COVID and everything. There hasn't been too many air shows in Canada in 2020, and it looks like 2021 is going to be unfortunately very similar. So, but we're working on building an air show sequence and doing formation aerobatics with the two airplanes so that we can bring the super pits, monster pits that we call it, to an air show very, very soon.
All right, well, what a great chat.
It is always pleasure.
What have you got going on this year then? Have you got any air shows planned?
Well, we're working on one air show. With the situation around COVID, it's still very difficult, and it's opening up, but it's very difficult for organizers to make plans and stuff like this. So we are working on an air show in August, and we're working on maybe another air show in September. But in the meantime, hopefully I'll do some more skydiving.
Yeah.
But we're also selling rides with the L29, the thrill of a lifetime rides in this airplane. So we've done a couple of already this year, and we're hoping that people are going to come and enjoy that airplane for us.
So how do people get on that?
Well, you just go to our website and fighterjetmontreal.com, and you can book a ride on the L29.
How long do they get?
Well, usually a 30-minute ride.
Yeah.
You know, it's more than enough. We do a little bit of sightseeing, not too much, you know. We do a little bit of sightseeing. We let the people fly the airplane a little bit, and then we end up by doing some, some aerobatics, some general aerobatics, because we don't want to...
Yeah, you don't want to dirty it.
No, exactly. So, but my people always come back with a smile on their face, and it's kind of like fighter pilot for one day, if you will.
That sounds amazing. So get yourself booked on there. Here in Montreal, Dan, it's been a pleasure to catch up with you.
Always a pleasure, Regan.
And I'll see you back in the sky next week.
Absolutely.
See ya.
Cheers.